Hello there friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Take. My name is Alan. We recently did a video explaining the various factions in Mandalorian lore. In that video we mentioned how Mandalorian society was also organized into house and clans, and how sometimes people in the same house and clan could even end up in different factions. And so today we'll be taking a look at some of the more important Mandalorian houses and clans. In Mandalorian culture, your family and friends are basically your squad or war party. And so family was extremely important for the Mandalorians. When several Mandalorian clans got together and started a political movement that was known as a house. And so Clan Vizsla represents the Vizsla family, and House Vizsla represents the political faction that they started, and beneath that umbrella you have several other clans who have agreed to swear allegiance to them. Which house you're in can change, but what clan you're in, well, that's blood. So obviously, Clan Vizsla is one of the most important families in Mandalorian lore. Tar Vizsla was the founder of Clan and House Vizsla. He was also the first Mandalorian to become a Jedi Knight, and would unite the various Mandalorian clans beneath his rule with the Darksaber. With that kind of legacy, it's not surprising that many members of Clan Vizsla were known for their political ambitions. But the descendants of Tar Vizsla were far less noble and far less successful than he was. Tar Vizsla started Deathwatch in Legends and would die at the hands of Jango Fett. Pre Vizsla started Deathwatch in canon, lost the Mandalorian Civil War, and then lost the throne of Mandalore to Maul, the first outsider to rule the Mandalorians. And then during the Imperial occupation, it was House Vizsla that kowtowed to the Empire and helped aid them in their suppression of Mandalorian culture. And so, even though Tar Vizsla has his terrific legacy, every other Vizsla after him has basically destroyed House Vizsla's name. Even Paz Vizsla, a member of the Children of the Watch, tried to take on the Mandalorian throne, but was found unworthy by the Darksaber. So as you can see, plenty of history, plenty of ambition, but just not enough skill to reclaim that past glory. Clan Vizsla would kind of fade away after the Empire took over, and you would see a lot of the minor clans within House Vizsla vie for power. That includes Clan Saxon. They were a very opportunist type of family. Clan Saxon would take the predominant position within House Vizsla when the political entity allied itself with the Empire. While their clans refused to disgrace themselves, people like the Saxons saw the Empire as a launching board for their own political rise. Gar Saxon, the head of the Saxon clan, would become the viceroy and governor of Mandalore. Gar Saxon was a brute and mercenary. He had fought directly for Pre Vizsla when he ruled Deathwatch, and then Gar Saxon continued to serve when Maul took over. Gar Saxon would be captured by the Republic during the siege of Mandalore and then switch sides to the Empire soon after. Gar Saxon was an individual who carried himself with a lot of strength and aggression, but I believe that he actually lacked these things, or at least lacked confidence in himself, which is why he always looked up to those who held power, whether it was Deathwatch or Maul or now the Empire. Gar Saxon would eventually be defeated in the Second Mandalorian Civil War during this period. His brother, Lord Tiber Saxon, would soon become the governor of Mandalore soon after. Tiber Saxon would further disgrace Mandalore by trying to create a super weapon that could target Beskar, which is what traditional Mandalorian armor was made of. Tiber Saxon had fully drunk the Kool-Aid of the Empire and was too busy basking in their glory and power to realize that he was blaspheming really hard. He also dies a terrible death, just like his brother. The next clan we'll talk about within House Vizsla is Clan Wren, led by Countess Ursa. During the Imperial occupation, Ursa made the decision to help her people survive and pledged allegiance to House Vizsla and the Empire and its new puppet government on Mandalore. The problem was Clan Wren and Clan Saxon hated each other, and Clan Saxon would soon gain a lot more power in House Vizsla. To make matters worse, Ursa Wren's daughter Sabine Wren had run away from an Imperial academy on Mandalore, which made the Imperials question their clan's loyalty. Sabine's brother Tristan, however, served with the Imperial Super Commandos beneath Gar Saxon's command as sort of a hostage and proof that the family was loyal. Clan Wren would eventually rebel. Ursa would join the opposition against the Saxons and the Empire. Sabine Wren would return wielding the Darksaber, which she had claimed for herself, and she would help lead the Mandalorians to freedom for a short period of time. The second major house we'll be talking about here is House Kryze. They rose to prominence during Duchess Satine Kryze's rule when her new Mandalorians took power. Her faction, the New Mandalorians, had defeated Death Watch during the first Mandalorian Civil War during this period, and she had promised to usher in a new age of reform and modernization. But the galaxy would soon be engulfed in the larger Clone Wars, and Mandalore, a member of the Council of Neutral Systems, found itself in the middle of two gigantic warring parties, each looking to exploit Mandalore for their own purposes. Although Satine Kryze and the New Mandalorians would keep Mandalore clear from the war for several years, Mandalore's economy would suffer greatly due to trade instability in the local region. Mandalore, for the most part, was a desolate wasteland. The people lived in domed cities and relied heavily on food imports. Caught in a weakened position, the New Mandalorians would suffer to keep Mandalorian society stable, and the Death Watch faction would take advantage of this and eventually retake Mandalore. Duchess Satine Kryze would be imprisoned by Vizsla and eventually executed by Maul. Duchess Satine's sister Bo-Katan Kryze, a member of Death Watch, had defected from the organization prior to this when Maul took over the organization from Vizsla. Bo-Katan would maintain a low-intensity guerrilla war against Death Watch, until Sabine Wren finally gifted her the Darksaber to add legitimacy to her faction. Bo-Katan would use the Darksaber to unite several Mandalorian clans beneath House Kryze. This included Clan Eldar, distinguished by their black, dark green, and orange armor, and also Clan Rook, which formerly was a vassal of House Cass, but allied with House Kryze during the Civil War. They wore purple, yellow, and silver armor. Lastly, I want to talk about two newer Mandalorian clans. The first one belongs to the Children of the Watch and is known as Clan Mudhorn. Din Djarin is the founder of this clan, and he received his clan name after defeating a giant Mudhorn with the help of his baby Gogurt. The armorer recognized Din Djarin and the baby Gogurt as a family, hence the beginning of Mudhorn clan. We all expect great things from them. And second, I want to talk about one of my favorite clans in all of Mandalorian lore and history, the legendary Clan Skirata. It was started by Cal Skirata, an old Mandalorian warrior who was hired by Jango Fett to be a part of his Kul Valdar. This was a group of 100 mercenaries, mostly Mandalorians, who would be tasked with training the 10,000 clone commando units that would spearhead the Grand Army of the Republic. Cal Skirata never really trusted the Kaminoans or even the Jedi officers that would command his clone commandos, but he would really fall in love with his clones. They were the perfect students, perfect warriors, and perfect sons. Cal Skirata would teach his clones Mandoa and Mandalorian culture. It's because of Cal that a lot of the ARC troopers would have those kamas or those skirts. That's a part of Mandalorian culture and tradition. Say what you want about the Mandalorians and their bloodthirst, they were also extremely warm to each other, to their family, and they put a huge emphasis on protecting the young and future generations. Cal Skirata would use his connections within the Republic Special Forces Division to acquire a huge sum of money that he would invest during the war that would grow into a huge fortune. He would use this to take care of all the clone commandos that he trained. By the end of the Clone Wars, Cal Skirata would adopt several clone commandos and generic clones and give them the surname Skirata. Thus began the legacy of Clan Skirata. So there you have it, guys. Those are all of the important houses and clans within Mandalorian culture. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think and which one's your favorite. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button down below so you don't miss out on the rest of our coverage of The Mandalorian. As usual, my name is Alan, reminding you that my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy,